ultimately the childhood friend ended up taking me and my sister in raising her with her children, raising us with her children as her own ultimately. So that's kind of like the we stayed with her from the age of like 10 to like that's like basically who raised us. So a lot of trauma, a lot of dysfunction. But for me personally, in the midst of all of that, man, like one thing that I always felt in my spirit was that like there's more. There's got to be more to life than what you see physically.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Flip That Switch. I am your host, Brandon, aka B to the Sis Naive, and we're back with another episode. If you didn't get a chance to go back and watch the previous episode, please go back and watch it. It was a great episode. As a matter of fact, before you watch this one, go back and watch that one. Today, we're going to be diving into a new episode. The person that I'm going to be interviewing today is a guy that's just really out here and grinding. He has so much going on. First of all, he's a male influencer. He is a father, a husband, two beautiful kids. He's launching three businesses at the same time, has a relationship with God as well. And so there's so many hats that this dude is wearing right now. And I'm just in admiration of who he is, who he has become, the fact that he's out here grinding and really just trying to inspire people to just live life unapologetically. He's in the fashion space. I mean, I challenge you to find me someone that's more fashionable than this guy. I mean, I'm gonna link his IG. You could just go to his IG and see how he moves. Like just the videos that he makes, the editing that goes into it, and he's really just inspiring people to kind of give their outfits and their pieces range. And so, just definitely an admiration of this guy. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my boy LaDarius. What's up, man?
Man, what's going on? What an entrance! I love the intro, man. Thank you so
Man, I look, you out here getting it, bro. I
much.
always like to give my people their flowers because at the end of the day, man, like we need that support, right? We
Absolutely.
need people to we words of affirmation and words like that. That really goes a long way, especially being a man. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
for sure.
saying?
And I think
So
it's crazy because I think as we're doing a lot of different things, you don't really realize how much you're doing. You hear somebody else say it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm doing all
yeah,
that. So I appreciate it.
no, for sure, for sure. Well, again, thanks for coming on, doing the episode with me. So we just gonna dive right in. Ladarius, first and foremost, how are you right now? How is your mental right now?
I feel like my mental is really good right now. Juggling a lot. And, you know, for me, I think I try to prepare myself mentally by not having unrealistic expectations and seasons, right? I
Yeah,
think a lot of times I try to like control what I can for sure. But with anything new, like you said, I'm launching these businesses and it's like with that piece of it all, it's like there's a lot of unknowns that can come about. And it's like for me, just making sure that I'm in a space where I am managing my expectations, where it's not like whatever results are happening are making me, discouraged or making me not want to continue to give myself to the process, whether that be in business, whether it be in fatherhood, whether it be in marriage. It's like, okay, I have to, as much as I can try to plan for the future or plan for what's going to happen in my best power, it's more so for me just doing that part, but also leaving room for the nuance that may come about and learning from the actual experiences that I'm exposing myself to in this time.
wow, wow, that's awesome. I
Yeah, for
love it,
sure.
man.
For sure.
You know, with you wearing so many hats, like how do you even balance the time? I'm like you like you said, you're launching multiple businesses. At the end of the day, you still got to keep your content up for IG and TikTok and all that. Then at the same time, you got to be a husband, you got to be a father.
hmm
Like, how are you even doing it? How are you balancing the time?
I would say two things. It's time blocking is one on a practical level, but it's also grace, right? I think on the one side, time blocking is I have a list of things that I want to do in a certain time. I want to get them accomplished, and I think because of the multiple hats that I wear, if I don't optimize in the time I'm supposed to be optimizing, then I'm allowing that to spill over into the next thing I'm supposed to be doing. So time
Mm,
blocking really has helped me with keeping me accountable to like execute what I'm supposed to be executing when I'm supposed to be executing it. But I think on the grace side, right? Because at the end of the day, all of these things that I'm doing right now, they require a great level of focus, a great level of talent, a great level of detail, and sometimes when I find myself like leaning so heavily on the big picture of all this and what all it requires, I get anxious. I get nervous. I question my capacity. I question if I can do it. But that's where the grace piece comes in because I'm like, everything I'm doing, I feel like God has called me to do. And because He's called me to do it, He's equipped me with the level of grace to be able to execute it. So I think that for me, operating in that level of grace and realizing that yeah, this is way too big for you to do by yourself, LaDarius, but you're not alone. So I think that being able to know who's on my side, who's in my corner, who's called me to do this, and who's equipping me with what's necessary to do these things that may seem impossible to the native ear, um, is somebody who operates in the impossible, which is God. So I think that for me, it's a matter of don't put your eyes too much on yourself, and keep your eyes on Him because the moment you put your eyes on yourself, you're gonna see somebody insignificant enough to carry the weight of what
Mm,
He's calling you to do. So yeah,
wow. The most important thing you said in there is the fact that you can do it and he's going to give you what you need to do it because he's called you to do it. That's
absolutely.
so important because oftentimes people, they get so weighed down and they're trying to do stuff. They're trying to lean onto their own understanding. And what it brings my mind to is the first thing you should be asking yourself is, well, did God call you to do this?
Step one.
Because if he didn't call you to do it, then that's why it's chaotic because it's not from him.
Yeah,
And so the fact that you said that he's called you to do these things, he's going to be sufficient enough to give you what you need in these different seasons.
exactly. And I think even further, when it comes to the things that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Doing is physical, doing is execution, and I think what I've realized in my time, just trying to become instead of just doing is more about who I'm becoming than what I'm doing. And when you realize and make that shift in your mind that like it's really about how am I operating from a character standpoint in these different parts of my life and the fact that whatever I'm doing, God is calling me to exude His character in whatever area I'm serving, whatever area I'm showing up, whether it be me being wiping my kids' bottom at nighttime, or whether it be being in a meeting about what the next season or what the next fiscal year looks like. It's really about the character that I'm carrying in those respective spaces, and for me, that takes a lot of pressure off too, because it's like, God, am I exuding your character in this space? More so than am I making 1 million versus 2 million, whether it be whether it's I'm getting 10,000 likes or if I'm getting 100 likes. Like, am I exuding your character and who I am as a person, not just what I'm doing? I feel like a lot of people kind of confuse who they are with what they do, and it's like that's a very backwards way of thinking it, and it creates so much pressure because what you do could change, bro. Like you like in different seasons, even what I'm doing as a father in this season versus a previous season is different. So I can't anchor my identity in like who I think I am or who I'm becoming off of what I'm just doing in a season.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's about who you are, not what you do.
Yeah,
I had to remind myself of that because when I started my social media journey, I was like very results oriented, right?
yeah,
I wanted the numbers. I wanted to go viral. I wanted the likes and all that because I don't know, for some reason that just made me feel like I was important and I was doing enough. But what I had to remind myself was even if I reach one or two people and they take some away from it, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm fulfilling what the plans and purposes that has been destined for me.
yeah,
And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because a lot of people don't understand, bro. Like, it's not about numbers. Like, if you reach two or three or four or five and you make a huge impact on those two or three or four people's lives, you've done what you needed to do.
yeah.
You know,
100%, bro.
man, that is awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your upbringing. Kind of talk to me a little bit about when you were coming up. What was that like for you as a kid?
Dang.
And did you have both parents, siblings? Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So coming up for me, it was I grew up in Oak Cliff, raised by a single mom.
Okay.
For context, my dad, I'm 34 years old. My dad is 48. So he was 14 when he had me. My mom
Okay.
was a senior in high school, and she already had my older sister. So I have an older sister on my mom's side. My dad
Okay.
has about five, 6 kids. I'm the oldest on my dad's side. I was his first kid, and I was my mom's last kid. So both
Okay.
of them were children when they had me. Which for me, realizing that in my adulthood, like grace, bro. I had my first daughter at 28, and it still was crazy. But yeah, single mom. Grew up with a single mom. She stayed with my grandmother initially when we were first born. And from there, we were raised in an environment where it was a lot of drug culture, a lot of alcohol abuse, stuff like that, domestic violence, and financial struggle. And we eventually moved from my grandmother's house, and we were kind of staying from place to place to place, moving around a lot, bro. Like in elementary school, I probably went to every elementary school in Dallas, bro. It was just unstable in that way, and eventually we got to a point where my mom couldn't get on her feet, and she ended up getting arrested behind some domestic violence stuff.
Mm.
And from there, basically, my sister and I got separated, where she stayed with my biological aunt and I stayed with my uncle's baby mom at the time. So we're
Okay.
separated, come back together, and when my mom gets out, we come back together, and we ended up staying with a friend of my mom's that she was raised with. And long story short, it didn't work out between my mom and her friend, because my mom was kind of still abusing alcohol, still doing stuff like that. So she had to leave the house, tried to take us with her. She couldn't get on her feet again, but ultimately, the childhood friend ended up taking me and my sister in raising her with her children, raising us with her children as her own. Ultimately, so that's kind of like the we stayed with her from the age of like 10 to like that's like basically who raised us. So a lot of trauma, a lot of dysfunction. But for me personally, in the midst of all of that, man, like one thing that I always felt in my spirit was that like there's more. There's got to be more to life than what you see physically. Like it was just in me, and I didn't know what it looked like. I couldn't perceive it when I went to live with the woman who raised us full time. I got like a spurt of it where it's like, oh, like we know where our next meal is coming from, because we didn't have that with my mom. So like that was like a little bit that kind of like fed it. But then graduating from high school, going to college, that's when it really materialize, where it's like the feeling you've been feeling internally, it wasn't for no reason. There is more out there. Seeing different people with different dynamics of life, hearing stories of healthy families. People come. I went to the University of Texas,
Okay.
so like people travel from all over the world to come to UT. So just seeing these different dynamics of healthy families and people who came from well-to-do families, like was like that first real in-depth confirmation from the exposure standpoint of like, hey, well, what you thought internally is actually real externally. So that kind of
Wow.
like flipped my mindset of like, okay, like what else? What else is out there? So yeah, man, upbringing was rough, and it was a lot of trauma, a lot of dysfunction. But I've really taken the responsibility to dive into that, face it, heal from it, grow from it, because I really did kind of think that because I was out of the environment didn't impact me because I graduated from college, because I got a good job, because I'm an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be. It's like, but I had to realize, no, like it impacted you. Let's figure out how to unpack that. So I've been therapy and all that stuff. So yeah, man,
Wow. Wow. That's
a
that's
lot.
different, man.
Yeah,
So as you're transitioning from home to home, going from place to place, obviously you're old enough to understand what's happening, right?
yeah,
Like what is going through your like so I know you said that, in your mind you always thought that there was something out there bigger. There was bigger
yeah.
to life than what I'm going through. But in that moment, in those seasons, as you were going through those situations, what was going through your mind? Because I know obviously you were dreaming bigger, right? But you're still in the trenches right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, what is going through your mind? Like, what type of thoughts are you having? Like going from place to place to place, and just now all of a sudden you and your sister are living with a childhood friend. Like, what's kind of going through your mind in those moments?
I think I had a natural desire for stability, like I think any child does, but it wasn't there. So ultimately, every time I got somewhere, it was like I'm on borrowed time. Ultimately,
Mm,
where it's like, how long is this gonna last? We're in hotels, we're in living. Like one time, we were living literally in one of my mom's boyfriend's just room, like his physical room in his mom's house.
wow.
So like whenever we got to a space, I was always just like, how long is this going to last? Like, how long are we going to be good for, in a sense? So for me, it was very much so just like this constant state of just like really uncertainty, if you
Yeah.
will, on like what, what's going to like what's going to happen and when is this going to end, so that's kind of like what I was experiencing. And I was still like, between because like ultimately that was my experience. So like although I felt that there was more, I didn't know that there was more. Where it's like, oh, how does it look to like live in a stable household, like
Hmm.
to be to like have a childhood home and grow up in that because it's just there. So for me, I think to a certain extent, I knew it wasn't right because of how it made me feel, like waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning to like my mom and her boyfriend breaking glass in the living room, throwing stuff, screaming. Like I like just that stuff was not like it didn't. I was scared. I was fearful of some of this stuff. That I was going through, and I knew that like that wasn't normal, but I didn't know what was normal because I never was really exposed to it. So for me, it was just like this cognitive dissonance, if you will, between I know that there's more, but this is my reality, and I don't know really how to conceptualize or perceive what more even looks like. I just know that what I feel is not secure. What I feel is not something I feel certain about, and I feel certainty in. So yeah,
Wow, dude.
yeah,
Just having to go through that as a kid is crazy, man.
yeah,
I couldn't even imagine. Wow.
yeah, man.
You have a relationship with your mom today?
My mom passed in 2016.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
condolences for that.
For sure. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
And what about your dad?
My dad, we have like a kind of touch and go relationship. I think it's something that we kind of connected on a more consistent basis. And I kind of got the story behind like why he wasn't around because a part of it, of course, he was 14. But besides that, it was this discrepancy he and my mom had where she kind of was like keeping him at bay ultimately. And, by the time I came around to being able to really commune with him and communicate with him, I had built a life already, bro. Like
Mhm.
I'm out of college, like I'm trying to do my walk with the Lord, I'm learning how to be a husband, learning how to be a father for the first time. So there was like wasn't a lot of room for us to proactively grow our relationship. We tried, but I feel like, when it comes to like family, even the concept of family, it's such a foreign concept to me because I've kept moving around. So it's like we I got respect for him, I got love for him, but it's not something that's like a super close, a lot of touch points, like kind of relationship. But it's like if I could call him right now if I want to. We can talk. We can have a conversation. I know he wants what's best for me. I know that he is a human being that you know was not equipped with what he needed to show up for me how he could.
Mhm.
But like, there's no negative feelings about him, about how things develop, because ultimately I think it all led to where I am now, the resilience, the ability to persevere, the grit that came from enduring the environment, now being able to be something I can utilize in entrepreneurship. So we don't have a relationship as closely as I would want, but it's not anything that I hold against him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like what you said about that. It's like, you know, us as sons, we kind of needed them to be there in the critical years.
Yeah.
And so now, like you said, it's no hard feelings or anything like that. But man, I got a whole family. I'm out here trying to get it. At the same time, like, also it's going to take me energy to kind of figure out if you the same person or if you've changed. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's the same thing with me. Like I don't have any ill will towards my father. I've forgiven him for not being there. But at the same
Hmm.
time, it's like my energy is allocated.
Yeah.
My like if
It's
you're not fitting into that, I ain't got the time, man. If you the same individual that you used to be, I can't do it.
yeah, and it's like it comes from a place of protection too. You know what I'm saying? You have a family and you are their protector. So
Yeah.
with that, it's like I don't want to, and I'm not saying my father would be this person, but it's if I remember times where I'm looking forward to him coming over and he doesn't. I don't want to expose my daughters to something like that where it's like they're expecting you to come over and you don't, and they
Mm,
normalize being disappointed by a man and it
mm.
wasn't by my hand. It's like I don't want to expose them to that. So before I allowed that to happen, we do have to reconcile our relationship at a level that makes me feel confident enough for you to be able to expose you to the things that I love, that I hold dearly, that I
Ooh.
respect, and that I've took the time to rebuild myself to complement them. How dare I let somebody else come in and just expose them when I don't know how they have restructured themselves?
That's a mic drop moment right there. We could literally end the like literally off that, bro. That
Yeah,
is a mic drop moment. Before I introduce you to them, the most important people in my life, in my world.
yeah.
You think I'm really just finna? Ooh, boy, we.
I had to earn them. What do you think?
Right.
You talking
Man,
about?
look,
Yeah.
we can have a whole conversation about that.
For
Ooh,
real, for real.
gosh. Mm. Anyway, all right. So now I got caught up in when you was talking because that's dude vibes and energy. I'm man. That is mm,
And it's like you don't mean like I don't rock with you, I don't like you, but it's like
right.
what I've experienced, bro, as a whole, like just coming from the environment that I was raised in versus in the contrast between that and what I'm building in health, in abundance of a relationship with God, like all of that is such a foreign concept to the people that some of the people that I was raised with or raised around, and the boundaries associated with that health do not always go over well. They usually take offense to what they don't understand
No, for sure.
versus really trusting my heart as somebody who I love y'all, but I'm building this and y'all don't understand it. But when you don't understand, trust the heart. I always say, even with God, I always say, when you don't understand God's hand, trust his heart.
Absolutely. And the issue with a lot of people is when they don't understand, they make assumptions or
Mm-hmm.
they create this narrative that's like couldn't be any more false
Yeah.
from or far from the truth. You just start making assumptions, and you don't. A lot of people they don't like to think outside the box and be like, you know what? Let me look at this from someone else's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a very, very selfish world, man, and people do not like to look at it from other people's lenses, bro.
Yeah. That's so
And
true.
that's I would say that's about 90% of our downfall.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it takes empathy to do that. It takes a level of being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And unfortunately, and I've understood this for the people that again I was raised around that don't understand my lifestyle, my boundaries, my like the way that I move, is they
Yeah.
just haven't been exposed to it. They haven't been exposed to that level of empathy where they have it for themselves first to be able to even exemplify it to somebody else. Like they've always been around situations where people taking away from them. They taking away. They don't care what they got going on. They're trying to get over on them. So it's like that's all they know. And it's
Yep.
like I can't be. I can't. Number one, I can't guide my life based on what you think because I understand that you have a limited way of thinking. All I
Hmm.
can do is expose you to as much truth and experience that I can without compromising what I'm building. That's all. That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk because you'll never sacrifice or sabotage what you're building.
Yeah,
So I totally get it, man.
100%, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right, so let's talk about a little bit about the family, right? So obviously, you grew up. You like you said, your father was kind of in and out,
yeah.
um, and now you have two beautiful kids. You have a beautiful family. I followed you for a while now. I see the family dynamic. I see the authenticity in it. Such a dope family. So
Appreciate it.
when you got married, right? And obviously the goal after that was to have kids.
Hmm.
What were you telling yourself that you wanted to do differently than the example that you had?
Yeah. I would say the biggest and most important thing was presence, right? I just wanted to be there and not just be there physically, but be there all in, all of me being present for my entire family, my wife first, and as a result, my kids, because I didn't have that. And to a certain extent, there's like this like duality in that perspective where I didn't have a father growing up,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's one. There's a level of absence in a hole that was void there. But you also have the side where I didn't have a father, and it's like I didn't really have much to cling on to from an example standpoint, right? So just because you have a physical father, he could be a terrible father. He could have
Absolutely.
example. He could give you examples on how to live, how to be a man that are toxic, that are not good. So it's like just having the role filled is not enough. It has to be filled with the right stuff. But the beauty in it, for what I've decided to pour into that narrative of absence, is because I didn't have a father when I met my heavenly father, I had a lot less to unlearn. I was like a blank slate in a sense where I could latch on to his teachings and his models and his characters and what he said I should be like a lot easier because it wasn't my father has told me I should be this, but you telling me I should be this. And now I'm these two things are combating. I got to unlearn this first and then relearn this. It was more of a like I don't know what I'm doing, but like just show me, you know. So I had like a more of a clean slate. So I think that it was a benefit in that way, but for me, ultimately, it was just I wanted to be present, and how that looked, I didn't know how that looked.
Mhm.
So I've had to, in the pursuit of trying to do that, I've had to, really establish and build this ecosystem of people around me who have went before me that have built lives that are showing up at a capacity that I would want to show up for my own kids. And that looks like, you know, somebody who's ahead of me,
Yep.
somebody who is beside me,
Yep.
who have the same intentions and the heart posture that I do to want to be there, and then somebody behind me that I can pour into as well that's on the same journey. And I was blessed to be able to establish that through a mentor that I met while I was doing premarital counseling with my wife.
Okay.
He was a dope dude. He was one of the like leaders in the premarital class that we were assigned to, and we just naturally hit it off like just well. And like after the premarital class ended, we stayed in contact, and it's like as I've gone through the woes of fatherhood, marriage, he's been somebody I call on to be able to just really just get whatever is happening that I don't understand that I'm having a hard time with off my chest. Also, you may be familiar with Mr. B from Lit Bible Study.
Oh yeah.
He's an advisor for Lit Bible Study. He's somebody I talk to, and I have a couple of friends in my like faith circle that like I respect their insight and their discernment that like I reach out and talk to like help kind of mitigate that space for me.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna ask you this, and I mean, why is it important to have those type of people in that space? From a standpoint of just being a husband and being a father, right? Because, like you said, we don't have a blueprint for this. We don't have a manual. I mean, we go into this, I mean, pretty much blind, right?
Yeah,
So, in those moments where you may have situations where you in the trenches, maybe you and the wife are not getting along in the current moment, or a lot's going on, right? Why is it important to have those people in your inner circle?
yeah. I would say it's extremely important because when you don't have those people in your life, all you have to go off of is your life experience and what
Mm,
you've been through.
mm,
And unfortunately, a lot of what we've been through isn't correct.
Yeah,
It isn't right. It isn't healthy. It's dysfunctional. It's traumatic. And that's not everybody's story, of course, but at some capacity, you've been misinformed in your life about something.
absolutely, absolutely.
So I think that when you don't have those people to bounce these ideas off of, they're going in your head. And when you eventually get to a situation where you don't know what to do in, you're making it up. And it's like, what are you drawing this from? Where are you getting this from? And it may sound good in your head, but what's best for them may not be what you're thinking of. So you need to do all you can to exhaust as many resources as you can to
Mhm.
show up best for your family, because when it comes to learning through experience and bumping your head and learning from the mistakes by bumping your head on the wall, in different factors of life. Like if you mess up in business like that, you learn, you may lose some money, you get the money back. But when you are doing that in real time with your family, it's not as simple as, oh, the bank account is refilled. You have influenced, you have impacted your family in a way that has imprinted them in a way that you now like either try your best to clean it up as best you can, but ultimately that may be a lesson or an investment you've put inside your family, your kids, that they may carry for the rest of their life. And it's like, I don't want my kids to be the collateral damage of me not pursuing wise counsel.
Mhm. Wow,
Yeah,
wow, man.
and
There's a
it
lot
takes
to unpack there, but
because it takes a level of self awareness. It takes
yes,
a level of being able to reduce your ego to be able to ask for help. It takes and reduce your pride to be able to ask for help, to understand that you are wrong, but you already know men don't like to ask for help. That's our last resort, not our first one. you know,
yeah. If right, we we just feel like we could do it all on our own, and you're right. We're afraid to ask for help, and um, that is a big, big, big issue for us as men. It's
yeah,
the ego.
yeah,
How do I reach out to somebody and say, you know what? And this is just an example. I'm just throwing an extreme example out there, but how does a man reach out to another man and tells him, you know what? I don't like my wife right now. I'm thinking about messing with somebody else or cheating. For example, it's not my. I'm
for sure, 100%. This is just
yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah.
It happens.
So I'm thinking about cheating, but I need you to talk me off the ledge. Like, who's calling somebody to have a conversation like that?
Yeah, that's
You know
real.
what I mean? And so, how do we bridge that gap and make it to where men can be vulnerable and men can come and have another man talk them off the ledge, or they're thinking about calling it quits, or their kids are getting on their nerves, or their job is getting on their nerves. They really want to leave, but they know that if they leave, these bills ain't gonna go nowhere.
Yeah, yeah,
I think a lot of times men, we have these surface level conversations with each other, but we just don't get deep. You know what I mean? We don't get like into the nitty gritty. It's more along the lines of sports and stuff like that because we can relate on that level, right?
yeah, yeah,
But when it's time to really have those tough conversations, what outlets do we have?
yeah,
And that is a pride thing. And that's a thing that at some point we're just going to have to overcome because, like you said, you got all these ideas bouncing in your head. What ends up happening is your brain becomes a pinball machine, right? So it's do 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 do
yeah.
do
It's
do,
just going. Yeah,
and dude, you can't operate like that.
literally. And I
And
think,
so
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. There's got to be a way for a space or some type of gap to be bridged to where we can allow men to come together and just be like, you know what, this is a safe space for us to just be vulnerable. If we need to vent, cool. If you just want me to listen to you vent and not come up with any solutions, cool. But I want to hear what's going on in your world so that way I can be an outlet for you. Because sometimes all it takes is for a man to have a conversation with another man, and that could be his saving grace right there. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So,
I think it's like what I see on like a personal level is we have to come to a point as men where our desire to actually get it right outweighs our desire to want to be perceived as somebody that gets it right.
Ooh, say that one more time, bro. You got to say that again.
We have to come to a point as men where we value more of what it is to actually get it right than what it looks like to get it right.
Wow.
And when you do that, the object of what you're doing boils down to how does what I do impact everybody in the best way, not how does everybody see me.
Wow.
And it's like when we can make that shift, I think pursuing the help makes more sense to us because I don't want to look like the guy that has it together. I want to be the guy that has it together. But the way to be the guy that has it together is to admit that I don't have it together so I can help me get it together.
Mm, mm,
And it's like we don't want to expose ourselves to the potential viewpoint of him got it together. And it's
yeah.
like, well, none of us have it together if we want to be honest, but I'm going to be transparent about me not having it together so somebody can help me get it together because otherwise I'm just going to be in this space where I'm just moving around ignorant, making it up as I go. You know, so I think that once that shift happens, it allows you to in a real way be able to pursue that help. And it's not easy, it's uncomfortable, man. I'm telling you, like I've over the years I've brought myself to be able to do this more and more and more, but it's not easy. It's uncomfortable, and unfortunately, men don't like to subject themselves to things they're not good at.
Mm,
It's just the truth. It's like
yeah.
sports is easy, bro. It's numbers, it's stats. I can be good at that. I can look at a game and I can dissect and analyze the stats. Emotions ain't as easy in black and white as a statistic on the screen. It's deeper than that. So
No, it is. And
yeah,
imagine using the energy to have to fake it and act like you
it's
look
exhausting.
like you know what you got going, like what's good. It's
Yeah,
like you're using energy because you got to put on this front, and you're using double the energy because now after you're done putting on this front, then you got to go back to the real world and realize that
saying it.
this ain't it. So you using double the energy, man.
Crazy, exhausted, exhausted.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
all right. So you're a male influencer, right?
Yes.
And so how did you get into that? Okay, so number one, first of all, this is another space where I'm going to give you flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Influencing. When people think of influencers, they think of women, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and they think of women being in the social media space. But now lately, I've started to see where more men are getting involved,
Yeah.
and you are a male influencer who's, by the way, like I said, just out here killing it
Appreciate
with
it.
the content.
Appreciate it.
Um, why did you choose to get into that space, and what is your ultimate vision for that space? What does that look like for you?
It's so funny because like I kind of feel like I didn't choose the space. The space chose me to a certain extent. I've always been passionate about fashion since I was a kid, bro. Like single mother, didn't have much money, didn't have many clothes as a result. So I had to like piece together my clothes to make them look different every time I went to school, so I wouldn't get made fun of. And that just made me fall in love with the versatility of fashion, bro. So
Love it.
that's like out of the struggle, is where this passion came from. And between the time me and my wife got married and had kids, I went from single bachelor living downtown to married with kids, giving my life to God in like a year's time. So very quick timeline, bro. And in that, one of the guys at Lit Bible Study was like, "It sounds like you need a passion project." Because I was like, "Bro, my life has changed so quick. I feel like there's no room for just like my own personal, expression." And he was like, "It sounds like you need a passion project, bro." And I was like, okay, what is that? What is a passion project? And
Right.
he kind of explained to me like whatever you're passionate about, just like creating a space to pour that out and express it. So of course, fashion was my passion, and I was like, I'm on Instagram a decent amount, so this will be the avenue that I execute this passion on. So, I watched this video from Kev on stage actually,
Okay.
and he was talking about like, you know, you will never know what something yields until you do it 100 times. And it's like I saw that video and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just post 100 times. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it Saturday at 10 a.m. 100 weeks straight. I wasn't really trying to make it anything. I was just like, this is my passion project. I'm gonna just pour into it. So start pouring into that. couple months go by, my following grows to like 25K, something like that. And then I post that Steve Harvey video, that 5 suits every man needs. Lord,
Ooh.
that goes viral simultaneously. My wedding video goes viral, and my following just goes crazy.
Yeah.
At this time I'm in corporate America for maybe 7 years. I've been in corporate the same job 7 years straight, and every like the money started rolling in, and it just made so much sense to like go with my passion. And I took the like I won't even call it a leap. It was really a skip. It was like it makes sense, bro. The bread's there. You love you're passionate. I did. It was emotional to leave my job in corporate America because I was there for a total of 8 years because it was just a rich culture. I
Yep.
loved it. It was sales intensive. The culture was great. The people were great. Money was good. So it just was like it made sense for me to stay there. But like I had to bet on myself. So I made that jump in 2021. I mean 2022. Sorry, to
Okay.
go full time, and man, I just been doing it ever since. Trying to remain competitive, trying to remain, you know, in alignment with God's will for it. My ultimate goal, honestly, is to do whatever I can to continue to serve at whatever capacity that looks like, man. Because I feel like I didn't ask for this, but God saw fit for me to have it.
Hmm.
So it's my responsibility to make sure I'm surrendering it to what He wants to do with it because it's His business, not mine. Because he literally put it in my lap. um,
Absolutely.
so for me, it's just trying to steward it well, and trying to make sure I can help as many people as possible, inspire as many people as possible, show people what's actually possible beyond, you know, what you were born into versus what you can create.
Mm.
Um, Expressing creativity. I love just my whole thing is like, how do you optimize everything that you currently have in your hands? That's my like ultimate message. Is like, how do you do the most with what you have in your hands? Ultimately, that's what I want to ultimately do, and I want to keep doing with these businesses I'm launching. It really boils down to the same thing. It's just different versions of that same message wrapped up in a different form of business. Is what all of this boils down to, man. So
I love it, man. I love it. I feel like just speaking to you, I feel like one of the plans that God has on you is to inspire other men, dude. And again, not only in a space of just fashion, but in a sense of okay, I can be vulnerable and I mean, obviously, me and you, we just started connecting.
yeah.
We've seen each other before, but we just as of lately just started connecting. But I really feel like it's been put on you on your heart to really inspire other men in the fashion space, in the space of just coming together, creating memories with each other as
Yeah,
far as men. And dude, from there, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, there's so many lanes that God can take you down, but
literally.
ultimately, it's like you're right. You're right about maximizing what's in your hands. That's something I've been kind of like battling with myself, right? Because
Yeah.
like we got our social media journey. I got this podcast. We're doing things, but I feel like there's more that I could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm walking that fine line. It's like, have I even maximized this
Mm-hmm.
while thinking about other things? So that's kind of an internal battle I'm having with myself. And so you kind of just reinforced that to me to be like, you know what, maximize what you have in your hands.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think as you're dealing with and walking through, that internal battle, it's because what I've been telling myself, even in this season of like just so much newness, is like I've been uncovering a lot of problems and and creating solutions, but like sometimes just because you know the problem doesn't mean you know the solution, right? It's like
right.
you're saying like I feel like there's more that I could be doing, and it's like what is that? The more I don't know what it is, but I know the problem, and knowing the problem means you're on the journey to the solution versus like you don't even know the problem. You're just out here just living unbeknownst to the problem. So it's like I think being able to be okay with the fact that like you feel that I feel that there's more that I could be doing.
Yeah.
That I uncovered the problem, and that's okay. I think that a lot of men gauge their value, including me at times. I have to check myself on this. Gauge their value and their worth based on how they can come up with a solution. And it's like, no, it's okay to just be in a space where I have a problem and I see it, and I'm surrendering this to God. I'm walking with Him to figure that out along the way. Thank you for allowing me to be on a journey. So like I know that I'm on the way to the solution, and like that process should feel, and I know it doesn't all the time, but it should feel just as fulfilling as getting to the solution. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, dude. That's awesome, man.
yeah.
All right, so transition to the. I know, like you said, you got a couple businesses going. Talk to me a little bit about what these businesses entail. What you got going on?
So I can tell you about two of the three because the third
Okay,
one is still in the work. So
okay,
I launched two. One of them is called the Stylish Dads Club. We have a page on Instagram. Follow us there. But basically, what that is ultimately a space where fathers can come together and really just commune. What I've realized in my journey as a father is that, trying to operate in excellence in all these respective spaces, entrepreneur, father, husband, like all these different roles, like it requires a lot. It pull like family takes you away from work, work takes you away from family, and all of that takes you away from yourself as an individual. And like you look up and you ain't talked to nobody, you haven't communed with anybody, you haven't, so with that, I was like, I can't be the only one going through this, feeling this way. So trying to figure out what we could create to, because I'm doing this in partnership with somebody else, but we wanted to figure out what we can create to where it required us to be in community to build, where it could make us better husbands and fathers as we spend time there, and just men as a whole, because I think that there's a lot of overlap in just masculinity and manhood as well. So we created this platform called the Stylish Dads Club. It's an actual physical app where it's a group chat. There is a resource guide where there's like lawyers, realtors, all kind of barbers, all the like services a man would need ultimately. There is like fatherhood content. We do live events in person, virtual events as well. So there's like basically like this like space where it's like we're styling fatherhood, but like it's not styling in form of fashion, but it's like when it comes to style, it's about presenting something in its best light. So we're just presenting fatherhood in its best light and just exposing each other to our experiences where we're learning from each other versus our mistakes.
love it, man.
So that's one. And the other one is a personal branding business where I am basically in a partnership with somebody else where we are basically taking somebody and using their expertise to create a personal brand around it on social media so they can capture the robust benefits. I mean, we both know the benefits of social media, how powerful it is. So basically, like people who are killing it in their industry, or just experts in their industry, ultimately, and creating content around their expertise so that we can present it on social media, gain credibility, and be able to capture a whole different marketplace that they probably aren't able to capture otherwise. So, yeah, that's the two that I'm building right now.
Mm, I'm telling you, bro. Man, that's the bit. Dude, I get excited when I hear stuff like that, man, because you are really out here serving others, and you've obviously gained a good amount of success,
Yeah,
but you're not keeping that success to yourself. You're
absolutely.
taking that success and you're trying to bring the next person up, and that's what it's
Exactly.
all about.
Absolutely, man. For
We
sure.
got to we all got to win, man. If we are as strong as our weakest link, right?
Really, man.
And so we all got to get out here and get it.
Absolutely, man. It's
I
like
want all my people to win, man. It's just it's the lanes are set up for us to do so. We just got to make sure we jump in the right lane and create and do what we got to do. You
yeah,
know,
for sure. And actually
I'm-
bridging the gap between like, because like people going first, right? Like people doing these things for the first time. It's like they get there and it's like, okay, I did it. And
yeah,
it's like the odds are stacked against us already. So it's just like
yeah.
if I made it, I have the capacity to close the gap a little bit because I have the know-how now. Let me pour that out. Let me, you know, be able to put you on game with what I've learned and what I know works. But it's such a foreign concept, especially in our community.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes people like it's hard to perceive. It's hard to like believe, and it's like a even a big sector of what I'm doing now with the personal branding piece is like I'm realizing a big part of that has to do with empowering people to believe in themselves. Like
Mm,
first, it's like it's crazy because it's like while social media is the object of the project, the real object is the internal and navigating people's psyche on like, bro, you can do this.
it's
Yeah,
confidence, bro.
yeah, man, seriously.
I'm telling you, dude. If we all had confidence, like we could literally go out here and think that we could move a mountain.
Yeah.
And the Bible says if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can tell
Mhm.
this mountain to move and it will move, right? We have if we all had confidence the size of a mustard seed, do you know how powerful we would be as a community?
Yes, bro. Yes.
Bro.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get you out of here on this last question, man. It's a question I always like to ask my guests to end the episodes. Say you're talking to 23-year-old LaDarius. He's coming to you for advice. You're sitting across the table from him, and he needs advice, man. He's in a space now where he just doesn't know what his next move is going to be. He's trying to navigate life. He's going through it, but he just doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm.
He comes to you for advice, just a little piece of advice, just to even help him get going.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, you're not going to save him on one conversation,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
just to get started, what type of advice are you giving him?
I would tell him to prioritize healing and take it seriously because that's the biggest investment that he can make in his future. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot that you want out of life physically, but the
Yeah.
greatest gift you can give yourself is healing internally, how you
Wow.
feel.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome, bro.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. This was good, man.
That's
This was
enough.
this was good. I for sure appreciate you just giving your perspective and your journey. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired and helped by this. So this was great, man. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks.
on, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. This has been good. Seriously,
No,
it's
for
been a good
sure.
conversation for sure.
For sure. All right, so make sure you follow us on IG where we post reels from the episodes. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast at Flip That Switch. So whether you're watching us, you're listening to us, just please make sure you're tapping in. And if you'd like to be a guest on the Flip That Switch podcast, I'd love to have you on. If you think your story would resonate with the masses, um, hit me in the comments. Like I said, we love to sit down and have a conversation with you and get your story out. So if that's you, hit me in the comments. But other than that, LaDarius, keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Sure.
I'm proud of you, man, and
Thank you.
you are the epitome of what it looks like to just be um, not only a person that's serving God, but also a person that's really just serving others. And when people look at you and they ask those questions, that's you are what it looks like.
I
So
appreciate that, man. Thank you.
just keep doing what you're doing, man. And other than that, we're gonna see y'all for the next episode, and we out. Peace.
All right, man.